Hey guys, Jason Schnitzer here with your Cypress Market Minute for week 19 of this 2023 market. As always, I like to start out with some statistics. This week there are only 22 homes for sale in Cypress. We've got 3 new listings that have come on the market and 0 pending sales. I can't believe it. This is the first time in the last 2 years that I've been doing this that we've not had a single house sell in Cypress in the last week. Really crazy, especially because we're kind of like in April, getting into May. We're still in the hot time of the year, historically speaking, when we usually see the most pending activity. So gonna keep an eye on that, especially since we're moving into May and June. Interest rates are still hanging in there. We're still at that 6.25%, in some cases 6.5% range. And from what I'm seeing, at least in my own business and the business of other agents around in my office is buyers have gotten past kind of the sticker shock of 3% interest rates back at the beginning of 2022 to 6% now. Initially, we saw a pullback on the market, but we're definitely seeing people hop back in, especially in the last few weeks, and especially in that 7, 8, even into the $900,000 price point. I call it the affordability price point, especially in Cypress, which is crazy to say. I mean, our entry-level houses are almost starting at $800,000 and going up from there. There are still some multiple offer situations, and what I think is like really interesting about that, and I'm trying to like figure out why it is that it is so impacted, is I think that we're starting to see investors come back into the market a little bit. And why that is I can only make my best guess, but back in September of 2022, when we saw that interest rate spike almost all the way up to 7%, what it did was it basically wiped out a whole pool of our buyers. And those were the affordability buyers, the people that were, renting, but since interest rates were still like 3-4%, their payment made sense to where it's like, hey, I can scrape together 5 to 10% down payment and maybe get into a house, my first house. And whenever you have such a drastic increase in interest rates, and I've been talking about this for a while, it kills affordability. And the payment for that person that's trying to buy that $800,000 or $900,000 house with an interest rate that went from 3% to 6.5%, all of a sudden their payment is like $800 or $900 and sometimes more expensive every single month. And if you can imagine, that really hits hard from an income to debt ratio standpoint and just the ability for the buyer to qualify. So what happened to those buyers is it took them out of the buying market and back into the rental market, which has greatly impacted our rental market. So leading me back to why I think those price points are being pushed up even more is because investors are, everybody wants to put their money where it's going to be safe. And, stock market, there's a lot of uncertainty on that, volatility. Certainly Bitcoin is not the most predictable. Bonds are becoming a little bit more popular just because the Fed's been raising interest rates. But ultimately, real estate is one of those tried and true investments, and people are definitely, I think, anchoring into that, especially going into potential uncertainty with regards to the economy. So investors are jumping back in for buying and holding because what is happening now with increased rents is you can invest 25-30% down and leverage the other 75-70% in borrowed money. Basically, what somebody's doing is servicing that debt for you. So it's minimal investment. Now you own an $800,000-$900,000 asset, and because rents have gone up significantly, especially here in Cypress, we have the demand of course, our great schools. We have the demand because of Oxford Academy, and that's really, really propping up our rents. And supply and demand is definitely on the side of the landlord in this case. So if you are curious how your real estate stacks up in 2023, please feel free to reach out to us, give us a DM via our social media, give us a call, email. We'd love to sit down with you and talk about our free real estate consulting. And what you can expect in some of those meetings is you basically give us exactly what your idea is, and we put it to paper and put it in numbers of what you can potentially expect. And if that aligns for you guys' portfolio. Again, our philosophy is we want you to be armed with the most information possible when it comes to making the decision on your most expensive assets. So as always, thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks again for watching this week's episode of O.C Realtor Talk. If you gained any value from this video, we'd really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and followed us on all our social media platforms.